thanks for granting this audience into your beautiful world, dear Bolanle, with a nice afro. Girl, everything beautiful, including your hair. I love so much. So the first question is, yeah, you're welcome. We stay in an era of your brilliant beauty inside out, beyond how you constantly carve a niche for yourself and thrive in your uniqueness as a designer. You also shine a light in dark places as a teacher, a clear pathways for others to thrive. Please share some highlights of how you began your creative journey and not just brand designing, but also as a design advocate and teacher.
Okay, thank you for that question. And yeah, thank you for that question. Um, I started designing at just like every other person. I'm going to try to make these answers um, as as plain as possible so that people are really able to gain some sort of something basically from this interview. I started designing. My creative journey, started very early. So I would, just try to make designs, try to mix colors together. I would paint because I have this elder brother who paints. So I tried different things. I tried to expressing myself, but I always knew that yes, designing was my thing. It was that one thing that I would do and I would not struggle with. I struggled with many things growing up. There are other things that I struggled with. Um, further maths, mathematics generally, and many other things. But for me, design was that way for me to just express myself. So it was that way for me to just show who I was, who I am, basically. And so I started in like this is primary stroke secondary school. I would make illustrations for, I would just paint, make illustrate. I remember that in secondary school, I was so good at making paintings that, the art teacher it would go to other classes and it would want to mark their assignments and it would say Bolale did this thing, go and call her, and then they will call me because I'll pay for all my classmates plus all the other classes and they buy food for me. It was my thing. People knew it was just easy for me. So designing is something that I've always done and is started from like secondary school, from primary stroke secondary school, and it was just that one thing that I was really comfortable. I was really comfortable with. So I'll say my creative journey started from secondary school, and so I think you also spoke about being a design advocate and teacher, right? So I should speak on that as well. And so when I finished secondary school, I remember that in the university I wanted to really just study something that was art related, something that was design related, but it was not possible. Like there were a lot of things happening, and there was no way I could. I was really confident that yes, my father would be able to afford, a design school. He can afford it. I've seen him do things, but I wasn't. I guess I didn't receive the memo on time. So I remember that I put, I tried to look for schools abroad that I could attend. I dreamed about these schools. I was so confident until I realized that what, we cannot actually afford it, and so I had to go study mass comm. And mass comm was like the complete opposite of me. Contrary to what people think, because I'm always online talking about my work, my most comfortable state is just being indoor, not talking to anyone, just being secluded, just designing. And many people who design are like that. But for me, I had to study mass comm because it was like the available thing to study. And maybe it was the closest thing to, something that had to do with like expression and stuff like that. So I remember that in the university, the only thing I could find that I was interested in mass comm was drawing, making illustrations for the school newspaper. So that was like my niche. That was like the niche I chose. So I would draw comics for the school newspaper. I would do that. I did that for like 4 years. I kept doing that until one day someone walked up to me and said, "Oh, you know what? There's this company I know. They need a comic illustrator. Do you want to work as a comic illustrator?" And that was like my first job. And so I was still writing my project and I already had a job. And it was so exciting because, you know, I I didn't have that confidence about my work as a designer. And I felt like I was going to be one of those persons who finish university. I would have to go back home because I could not afford, because I'm not able to afford the kind of life that I want. I felt like there are not designers I could see that I could admire to say, "Oh, this person is actually successful, this person is actually Nigerian. So it means that I can actually succeed as a designer. There are no examples for me to, look up to. So it was scary. It was scary just choosing to do design. But then I got that job, and the job was like a miracle for me. I can't remember the salary. Maybe it was about 30 or 40K, but it was a big deal. This was years ago, almost 10 years. It was a big deal. And we would, I remember that I bought my father this very big hamper so that he would just see that, see, I've made it. I'm a designer. I'm not suffering. Don't worry about me. I've done mass com. I've made all of you happy. Let me do what I want to do now. Let me work as a designer. So as soon as I bought in that hamper, I realized that he had that it was very happy. It was like people actually paid you to draw. I said, yes, I'm being paid a salary to draw. And so since that time, they just took their hands off me. They're confident that yes, I was going to be fine. And so that kind of started like my career. Since I could not, go to the university to study design, I worked as a designer. So the experience that I needed, the knowledge that I needed, I kind of learned it on the job. And so it was just easy. It was easier for me. I was just able to just express myself. And that's what led to, being um I've talked about designing, I've talked about like my journey in design, but because of my experiences, because of those things that I experienced, basically, it influenced my approach to life. And I decided that, you know what, if I struggled with finding people that I could look up to, that could mentor me as a designer when I started, and also if I struggled, getting that affordable design school, I'm going to create one, and I'm also going to focus on women as well. And so that led to me creating the female designer movement. Now, through the female designer movement, we've trained over 3,000 women for free, and it's always so emotional. Some of these women will come to the trainings with their children, and when you see them, working with Photoshop, it made me so happy because there are times I'll go for an event and I'll see, female designers, and they walk up to me and say, Bolani, do you remember? I'm like, oh, I don't know. You say, oh, in your training in 2017, 2018, I came in to learn graphic design. Now I work as a designer. And I'm like, oh my God, this was a dream. This was everything I ever wanted. And so that's why I established the female designer movement to train women for free. And I also established Geneza School so that we could have like affordable design courses where you could have like almost 2 months of a month to 2 months of training for just 19,350. We recently just increased the prices, but even the new price is like super affordable so that everyone can afford to design basically. So I don't want to talk too much so that I hope I've answered your question. But that's basically the journey for me, from becoming a designer to becoming like a design advocate, basically.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Listening to you talking about this, like you're telling me my life because I was also good at drawing and painting. I studied mass communication. Like, what is there not relating? Yeah, so it's really nice hearing that. Okay, the next question is a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Can you remember the first design you ever created and what inspired it?
To be honest, I don't think I can remember. Excuse me.
Whoa,
I don't think I can remember the first
sure.
time. Okay, and that's because I worked on like many things as I grew, and I remember. But I know that some of my first set of designs were portraits of people around me, portraits of myself, sisters. And it was almost the first time I discovered that. Damn, I'm really good at this thing. I'm actually really good at this thing.
Mm.
Drew a portrait of myself and it looked like me, and I was like, wow. And it was so fascinating because I had seen people draw and they make like sketches on their notepad, on their sketch pad lines, but I was able to draw without the grid and all those things. And for me, that was very, very encouraging and very fascinating. I think that those are like the that's like the earliest experience that I had with design. Basically, so it was inspired by people around me, my cousins, my sisters.
Oh,
I just drew people around me basically. So there wasn't like anything specific, to be honest.
oh, okay. What does art mean to you? What is art to you?
I think this is a question that I like. For me, art is first of all, personal to me. Art is special to me. And art is also for me like an expression of who you are on the inside, you know. And art is so special because it's like you see an entire human being and then you tell the person, introduce yourself. And the person says, I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to draw. And the person is able to make something. And then just looking at that thing, you're able to just understand that person. So you can say that art is an expression of one's essence. You know, what makes a person unique. You know, you sometimes you see some paintings and you see how chaotic it is, and you're like, this person's actually disturbed. I see some paintings, I'm like, whoever painted this has some sort of hidden darkness about them, or they're experiencing some sort of trauma. Now, how do you know that? Just because you're able to express that side of them, you know. And another way I'll describe it is this. So imagine if different people are given, if they're given a particular story and are told to express that story through art, they're told to make like different paintings. Art is so special that people would paint the same story but in different ways, and from those paintings you can almost just understand where they are coming from, their experiences, their unique experiences. So art is a language, but a unique language that helps you express your uniqueness, your essence, what makes you special, what makes, your entire life story basically in just one piece through the use of colors and, paintings, colors, typography, whatever way you choose to express yourself. So I'll say that art is, expressing your essence and uniqueness basically. There's also a language, in my opinion. So that's my definition of art.
Wow, that's so lovely. We are grateful to have you on board this special issue with the theme Rise in celebration of inspiring women in the creative industry, and also to mark the 2023 International Women's Day. We understand how certain stereotypes, culture, sentiments, and faulty orientations have stood as a subtle roadblock for women to thrive boundlessly. Have you ever encountered any form of gender-based discrimination? Any quick tips for women who may have been victim of these circumstance or severe circumstance?
Hmm. Yes, I have actually. I know that the subtle ones that I experienced, very subtle ones, were, just working as a designer. I remember that I was going to work on this project, and the person who was supposed to contract us this project said, "Well, I'm not sure, like I'm not convinced that you did all this amazing work. That there's probably someone else, meaning that there's probably a man somewhere. Like it couldn't have been you. Like women." That this was years ago anyway, but things have changed now. There are tons of female designers, especially in Africa and in Nigeria as well. And people are beginning to see that it has nothing, like your gender has nothing to do with your capacity as a person to create. But I'd say that, so this person like made, some comments that were very condescending, and a lot of people have experienced that as well. People say things like, so you designed this, even on my page people write, women can, so you did this amazing work, it's so good, even though you're a woman. Now what does that even mean? Doesn't even make any sense. So I just tend to ignore these things. But I think that some of the experiences that I had that were quite severe, or were quite serious, was years ago as well, when I just started my career. And I was, you know, before, I think I wasn't. I was trying to work on a particular project. So imagine you dress up for that project, you're happy, you're like, yes. I don't even wear heels, but I made myself so comfortable that day just because I wanted to show up really well, dressed very well, dressed very decent, and I went for this proposal. I went there because as a designer, what you want to do most times is just to express yourself through, just design on your computer. But for this particular project, I had to go present, the designs, I had to present the ideas. And I remember that we're supposed to get the project. And then the person said, oh, he first of all told me, oh, you know what? I'm the one in charge of this particular company. He told me I'm the one in charge of this company. I think they call it country manager and stuff like that. But before we work on this project, I want us to see so we could talk, and then the person started talking about different things about dating, and I'm like, so I'm going to get this project because you want to date me. And I just washed my hands off it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do this because my work is good enough to earn me whatever I want to get, whatever project I want to get. So if you're going to go this route, I'm not going to be a part of it. And I think it was easy for me because I had support around me, and I was also able to make that decision easily. But there are many women out there who would have fallen for that because they don't have the kind of support that they need, and just for different reasons. So those are like some of the very severe cases. And there was another one that I experienced, which was quite bad. Um, which almost got me, into trouble. And it was quite a difficult period, right, in my life where it just felt like people would like to take advantage of you because you're a designer and because you're a female designer, and they just think that because you're a woman, they would try to take advantage of you. But one of the things that I'm grateful to God for is the fact that I was able to navigate those times and I was able to come out of them. And I know that many women, that's not the same experience. So my advice would be that women should first of all understand that it'll take a it'll take a while, right, for people to for all these experiences to cease. And what they can do right now is to protect themselves. You get when you're going for a project, when you're going to present a project, go with other people. Go with ensure that you're not alone. Protect yourself and don't assume that because people are nice, they're suddenly good people. You know, protect yourself. Ensure that you know, ensure that you stand your ground. Ensure that you stand your ground, and also understand that you don't have to don't allow anyone look down on your work. Don't allow people's work, people's comments, and those condescending jokes and mannerisms and talks. Don't allow it make you feel like you're less of yourself. You're less of a designer. The truth about it is, your gender has nothing to do with your capacity as a person, your capacity to create. When you look at the brain of a woman and a man, there's no difference. You can't say, oh, this person's a better designer because they're a man. No. As a matter of fact, the fact that you're a woman makes it easy for you to express yourself, your creativity. I remember that watching my mom redesign our living room, because my mom used to sell, before she died, she used to sell building materials, and she used to sell paints, building materials, wood. People were trying to build houses and all. And I watched her just redesign our living room. Today she's moving the chair. Tomorrow she's changing the color. And just watching her express herself really influenced my design as well. So I'll say that as a woman, you have the capacity to create anything, to do whatever you want to do. Your gender has nothing to do with the quality of your work, and you have the capacity to create magic. Like, you should never allow anyone, never accept it, never keep quiet when such comments are made. Stand your ground and always just ensure that no one looks down on you, basically. So that's my answer to that question.
Wow, you don't just have a beautiful hair, you have a beautiful mind.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
love
much.
how I love your approach to
Thank you.
things.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. We
Thank
all
you.
have yeah, we're all about combining art and purpose, and this is what you effortlessly do at the female designer movement, empowering the next generation of female graphic designers. Every project, no doubt, has an inspiration behind it, and this is where purpose comes in. Please share the inspiration behind the platform and some highlights of its forthcoming event this November 2023.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. Like I
Oh,
mentioned before, yeah, like I mentioned before, I started TFDM because I wanted to see more women design. I didn't want to be the only, female designer. Basically, I mean, to be amazing to walk into an organization and see other women like yourself designing, creating good work. This is something that happens in other countries, abroad, and the UK, the US, different places. And in Africa, you realize that it's like a big deal. And things are beginning to change anyway, but it can be better. And so I really just wanted to see more women design. My work as there are times that when I was doing like this 9 to 5 job, I would create work, and even I would design for brands like, some of the, I don't want to mention them, some of these very big brands in Nigeria, while I was doing my 9 to 5. And they would come to the office and say, who designed that? Who did that? We want to meet the person. And they would talk to me, feel so special. And, and it got to a point where that my work was like the best in the office. And we had other guys on the team. And so it made me wonder, like, why would anyone ever think that as a woman you cannot design, or as a woman your job is to be in the kitchen always, and that you should focus on a particular field because you know. So people even say things like, women are very emotional. So today they'll complain of menstrual pain. Tomorrow they say they cannot walk. But that's not true. That is not true. I have women on my team and they're doing amazingly well. Like they are so passionate about their work and they're so passionate about what they do. They put in so much work. They're so when they focus their mind on something, they do it. And I really love that about being a woman, really. And so I started TFDM because I wanted to see more women design. I wanted to show them that it is possible. There are women who have written to me, women to say, "Oh, I want my daughter to become a designer because I've seen your life, because you look successful, you're doing really well, and all you do is design." I mean, yes, I design. Okay, can you mentor my daughter? And I'm like, this is the dream. This is what I always wanted. Where people can see where people can see the value in design. Now, when I was growing up, I felt like design was rubbish. I felt like it was useless because I didn't get a part of my brother was good with maths and it wasn't my favorite subject. So you'll see him get a pat on his back, and for me, it will be like, "This is your hobby. You cannot. Design is your hobby. You can't make it in life with this." Like several comments growing up, I feel like there's nothing you can do with this. But now I'm working with like really, really big brands. I'm designing for them, and I really love my work. I really love my job, and I'm being paid to do what comes very easy for me. And I feel like other women should get the chance to do this as well. People shouldn't be forced to do things that they don't want to do because they're scared. They shouldn't be scared. One of the things I find most exciting is watching women who are designers, who are married, who have kids, and they're able to still design. They're able to still support themselves, and that's like the goal for me personally. And that's why I established the female designer movement, so we could have more of that.
Wow, that's huge.
Thank
That's that shows how big your heart is, and it's really lovely. It's really lovely. Sometimes you have an idea and you choose to keep quiet because quiet feels safer and familiar. These are some of your deep and powerful words. Please share any quick tip for young creatives battling with self-doubt.
you. Self doubt is something I could talk about all day, but I'll just try to make this short. I would say that um, I feel like it's not unique to just one person. Everyone, once struggled with self doubt. Even the best of creatives, even the best of people. I think that what would help is knowledge. Like my husband would say, if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling with understanding something, just gain knowledge on it. And knowledge could mean just watching videos, just listening to podcasts. When I say knowledge, what I mean is you need to step out from all the things you understand about life and try to read about the lives of other people. Take that step to just watch videos. You realize that you're not the only one on that journey. There are people who struggle with the same thing. I'm sure that when people who struggle with this, when you listen to the experiences of other people, then that confidence, you would understand that, okay, if they were on that journey and they were able to come out of it, it means that I can do this also. And so the first thing is to gain knowledge, understand that people have also gone through that same experience. People have been on that same path, but they made it through. There are many times I would doubt myself. I would wonder, like, would I ever, can I do this? Can I, like, one of the things that I struggled with a lot is public speaking. I used to struggle with public speaking, and I used to feel like, who would want to listen to me? Why would anybody want to listen to me? In short, the first time that I spoke in front of people was during TFDM, one of our first events ever, and I entered into the room and I saw like 300 women at once. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Wow, like what am I doing here? How did I even decide? How did I felt like just running back. I felt like melting. My hands were shaking. And so I put my hands behind my back so that they wouldn't see. And I'll just speak in tongues. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing here? But it took a while, but I got used to it. I got started, okay, I was like, okay, you know what, I can do this. They are here because they're trying to learn something. And I know that I have something to offer. And so that actually helps me. So self doubt could be expressed in different ways. It could be that you're doubting something about yourself. For me, it was my confidence to speak in front of people. It wasn't something I was comfortable with, but I was able to overcome that because I realized that I wasn't the only one. There were people who, there are people who are like me. and they've gone ahead to do amazing things. So the first thing is to gain knowledge, and the second thing is to document your journey. Every time you succeed at something, write it down. Tell yourself, "Oh, I actually succeeded at this thing." So anytime you're experiencing that self doubt, that anxiety, that fear, look back at all the things that you, all the things that you succeeded at, all the things that you did that were really amazing. It will always to encourage you to believe in yourself more. So those are like the two major things: to gain knowledge, you know, read about other people's experiences, and also just document your journey. Ensure that you're documenting your journey. That would really help, to be honest.
Please know that everything we wrote there was in depth and was very intentional and conscious. We didn't just write them to just like praise you for the sake of it. Like for real, we really admire you, and everything we wrote there is for real. And there are some people that okay, you scan through you just read about them and you love them, but now we are even getting to talk to you like one on one, and we are even loving you more. Like there's so many things that you've said. Like Latifa said how she connected with you, how she read mass comm and she was a designer in school. As a brand, we connect with you so much, especially for the fact the area where you talked about doing what you love, getting paid for doing what you love. And
Yeah.
I remember when I remember when you said so let's just take a little time to wait for Latifa. I think she's here now. But before she
Yeah,
joins in,
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
okay. I
I'm
remember
here.
when you
I'm
said
sorry.
yeah, it's fine. I remember when you said someone was asking you that can you like do you make money? Is it possible to make money or something like that? Is it possible to make money from just designing? I'm a writer and a poet as well. I've been doing content writing since when I was during my undergraduate days till now that I graduated. And writing is all I do. I do not do any other thing. And I'm happy that we're waking up to that consciousness of you don't just have to be a lawyer, a doctor. Doing all those things are not bad. But if that's not your passion, you can actually be a writer, a painter, a designer, and make a living. There's nothing as fulfilling as being paid for doing what you love and just making a living from living your making and all. So thank you so much for sharing your truth with us in all authenticity. And please, Lasifa, God, because I can go on and on.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Eden. Yeah, so what would you consider most fulfilling about your creative journey as a designer?
Hmm. Um, what I would consider fulfilling as a creative
Yeah,
designer is the
yeah,
fact. I think the first thing is my, my job as a designer. The fact that I get to, it's like you're waking up every day, um, doing that one thing that you really love and getting paid, like I mentioned, for like getting paid for it. But it's even beyond that. It's the fact that I'm designing for clients and I'm helping them build their businesses. I'm helping them design for their businesses, and it is solving major problems for them. You get
yeah,
sometimes you design for a client, maybe client has like an idea, and then they go and they're like, Bolanle, now I know what, because from the way the way my job works, the client comes to me to say, this is what I'm trying to build, but I don't know what it should look like. I don't know what the brand should look like. I don't know what the colors should be. I don't know what the logo should be. And then I listen to the client, put visuals to it, try to create a brand. And so for me, it's the fact that I get to help them solve their problems and help them create something out of nothing, basically, help them build their brands, create, and then it comes really easy for me. So I get to have fun, I get paid, and I get to also give value. So that's what I find very fulfilling about my work as a designer. And then I think that for TFDM, what I find fulfilling about TFDM, being a designer and just being at TFDM, is also getting other people to experience what I'm experiencing as well. To get them to be in the comfort of their homes and still make money and still do what they are really interested in. So that's what I would say I consider most fulfilling about my journey. Yeah.
yeah. That's a lot in one package, in one
Thank,
person.
thank you.
Yeah. So, do you feel creatives in developed countries are at advantage than those in developing countries?
Of course, like that. There's no. I think that's very true. I mean, um, sometimes you, like in Nigeria, you look at the light situation, you look at the job
Yeah.
availability, all the things people are experiencing. And one of the things that I'm grateful to God for is about my experiences, right? About the things that I experienced. I've had the opportunity to like travel to different places, but I also remember the times I would wake up in the middle of the night and there's no light, and I'm trying to use my there was a time I bought this. It was like an inverter. I think it was locally made, just so I could get power every time to power my laptop. And I'll try to design, design for clients and all. And it was a very difficult period, but that kind of built. What I got from it, I gained capacity. Now, one thing I always tell designers is you should never like. I mean, these developed countries, they have things going on for them. They have electricity, they have structure, things that have like there's security and all those things. But you should never ever allow the things that are not working be the excuse for you not to create good work. You can do whatever you want. And I feel like I have the right to say that because I know what it is not to have. I know what it is to struggle to afford a simple laptop. I know what it is to not have electricity. There was a time during NYSC, it was supposed to be like my first major logo design job. And I remember that I designed the logo and I'd gone to present it to the client and to the it was I was working at this newspaper and this radio station, and they were rebuilding,
Mm.
structuring, and I said to them, okay, you know what, let me quickly design the logo. Maybe they're going to change their logo. Let me just submit a proposal, and I think I charged about maybe 50K or so, but they're going to pay. They don't do that hard money, like it's too small, and so I was like, oh my god, they're going to pay me that amount of money. So eventually, I think I was paid about maybe 250K. But at that time, I was earning 19,350 for NYC. So you can imagine that kind of money. So I knew I was going to be paid that money. And then I was trying to like, I presented the project. We're like, oh, this is good. You know what? Go on. We're going to show it to the governor and everything. Just come back. And I was on my way back to the NCCF house. I remember we used to call it Gidan Copper in Awusa. So like NCCF house. And I was going back there, I was on a bike. And the next thing, my bike crashed into another bike because the Northerners they drive the way they people say that Northern bikemen they drive like they have extra life at home. And so we crashed into another bike. And I remember I was on the road and I was unconscious and I woke up and I just saying like I'm actually on the road. And in the north, nobody will touch you because you're a woman. And so there were no other I didn't find other women. So I had to stand up by myself with the injuries and all. And the first thing I said was, please for my laptop. Look for my laptop for me. And I just checked when I saw my laptop. I picked up I felt like my leg, something was I felt like it was cold, but I didn't check. So I picked up my laptop and I just opened it. The first thing I checked was the screen. Okay, the screen is fine. My design is safe. And then I just checked my leg and I realized that the entire leg, everything was scraped off the skin, the flesh, everything. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
God. And then so I had injuries all over. But for me, I was like, my design is safe, I'm fine. So I picked up my back pack, put my laptop in it, and then I looked for the second bike to go because there was no help. You're in the north, and things can be quite difficult in the north sometimes. And so I picked up my laptop and I went back to the hostel, and then I got treatment and all. But I got to present that project. So you can imagine this is just very small compared to what many other people go through. You get that whole experience. And when I think about it, I'm like, wow, that was it's crazy. Like I wasn't even concerned about my life, and people go through worse. And that is happening here in Nigeria. So I'll say that yes, things are when it comes to like the creative journey of a designer is easier abroad because there's electricity and things are just working. Like the silence, everything. You're able to think, but it should never ever be a reason to create bad work. It should never ever be a reason for you not to pursue your dream. People say, oh, I don't have a laptop. I'm like, you don't have the latest laptop. You can get a fairly used one. Like, just if you cut away excuses from your life and tell yourself that no matter what, I must do this thing and I must make it, I must make this work, you would always find a solution. So I'm going to acknowledge the fact that yes, it is more difficult being a designer in developed countries like Nigeria, but it should never be a reason for you to put out low quality work or for you to, to stop dreaming, basically.
We understand balancing work time and rest time is a struggle for many creatives. Please share a few tips on how you try to balance work time, rest time, and family.
I think that I might have had answers for all the other questions, and it almost feels like yes, I'm able to answer the question well. But for this question, I don't think I have I don't think I have this very good answer because it is something that I'm still working on.
Oh, okay.
I'm still on that journey where I'm trying to.
Working on.
Sometimes I feel like there should be like some sort of support group for female designers who are married and who run businesses and who have personal brands, or just being a female designer who is even just starting to build something, or being a female creative, you know, because it is a lot. It is a whole lot. Like sometimes you're just trying to. I think I was telling a friend of mine that sometimes I'm just finishing work and I'm there making a bar, and I'm there making a bar and I'm turning the eba and the eba is ready and I'm making the okra soup. And as soon as I'm done, I'm back to my computer. Hi, let's talk about your brand. Like I was just not in the kitchen turning, and it's just a lot of things happen at the same time. But sometimes you are, you know, yeah, you are thinking about a lot of things, thinking about life generally, being married, and especially, the things that come with marriage. You're just going through all that, trying to figure out things, navigate you, ensuring that that aspect of your life works. And then you still have designs, you still have clients who don't care whether you are going through whatever, they just want their work done. And then you still have to push out quality work. And then you still have to be present online because you're trying to build a personal brand that people can get to understand what you do, and then you can receive the kind of support that you need to build your initiatives. You're doing all that at the same time. And so that's why I think that we need a support group as women, as female creatives. But I wouldn't say that I figured it out because I'm still on that journey. But I'd say that I recently made a rule because the time I had to go to the hospital and they said my stress level was high, and I knew my stress levels were really, really high. And they said to me that when you were younger, it was you could stay up late, but you're getting older and you cannot live that kind of life anymore. It's not good for your health and things like that. And so I remember getting on that day and I was feeling so down, and I just closed from work early and I went to bed I think around 9, which was the first time in a very long time. So I stopped working overnight and I started sleeping early. So for me, early now means that I get to sleep by 11 p.m. 10, which is like a miracle. We started this year, and sometimes it's hard, but thank God I have people like my accountability partners. Basically, we say, "Bolanle, I hope you slept. I hope you're not awake." Sometimes they'll say, "Keep your phone away from me. Keep it in the office and just go to bed." So I'm still trying to figure things out because it's not really been easy, but I believe that it is possible. I'm not yet there, but I think I'm seeing progress. And that's how I'm going to answer this question in all honesty, to be honest. In all honesty, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I love how sincere, I love how sincere and true you answer the question. And I think everyone I've interviewed, they're always like, ah, this is how it is. They don't try to like make you look all beautiful or easy, like telling their experience. It's actually really, really cool.
Thank you.
Um, what does success mean to you is all said? What does success mean to you? How do you
This
define success?
success. Okay, success for me is so I'm going to I'm not even going to try to I don't want to seem like as if I'm going all deep, but I'm going to answer this question the way I actually feel about success. I feel like
Okay.
I feel
So,
like success first of all, it means if you're if you're alive, right, and you realize that I'm actually living, I'm able to make a decision to see tomorrow. I'm alive. I've not committed suicide. I'm not dead. That's for me. That first of all, that's success because life can be so life can be full of a lot, and then people have taken their own lives and stuff like that. So for me, every time I wake up in the morning and I realize that okay, I'm here today. I'm not depressed. I'm happy. I'm able to go to work. I'm able to think straight. Everyone is fine at home. For me, that's the first definition of success. For me, that's what I consider something. What my career, success for me means, you know, the fact that I'm able to look back to the days when I was young and I was designing, and people make comments like, "You can't do anything with design. You are gone do a proper job." I was told to become a newscaster since I studied mass comm. That I mean, I'll earn money from that, or an investigative reporter or something. And I look at where I am now. I've spoken on panels with people that I really do admire, you know, and I'm like, yes, I am there. The future that I've always wanted, I'm on that journey. I'm not yet there, but I'm on that journey. For me, that's success. The fact that I'm closer to my dream than I was 20 years. So that's why I consider again, that's for me, that's success. I don't know if it's, I don't know if that's a model, but that's what I genuinely success.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think, for me personally, I don't feel there is one thing to one thing, one explanation, one
Yeah,
experience, one path to anything. I feel like experiences are relative, they're individual, and we just have to key into that.
yeah.
And also, yeah, so before the next question before the last, please briefly tell us something we do not know about Bolanle Banwo Osadolo.
Mm. What you do not know about me, let me see.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that maybe one thing people don't know about me is I recently learned how to, at least I recently learned how to bake. I didn't know how to bake. Maybe that's something.
Wow.
I didn't know how to bake. I baked a cake for the first time recently. I baked carrot cake, and it was quite soggy, but
Wow.
we managed it. My husband is first to eat whatever I experiment with, because there's no one else to eat it. So I baked carrot cake, and it was a good experience. I also made pot pie. I mean, those things I've always wanted to make. People know that
Um,
I love dogs. People know that I love animals generally. There isn't I think that let me see. There isn't. I can't really remember. Is there anything? Is peace on this call? Is there anything about me that people don't know? Maybe I just cannot remember.
I mean, we can't share everything, then there'll be nothing.
I don't know anything else. I mean, some things that are really personal. I think the only thing people don't know is I started baking recently, and that I love people know I love designing. People know I love dogs. People know I don't like traveling. Maybe that's a thing. I don't enjoy being there just in the plane up there. It's very uncomfortable for me. It just feels very uncomfortable. People enjoy. I like being in different places. I love food. People know I love food. I love experimenting food. But there's really nothing else that I think. Maybe if I remember, I'll just tell Peace to send it. But I don't think apart from baking, I started
Shared it.
baking. Was
Yeah,
what?
that's. I think you've shared a whole lot already.
Yeah. Thank
mm,
you. Yeah.
yeah. So
Thank
I,
you.
I really admire the fact you like to experiment with food. It's something I also enjoy as well.
Yeah.
Aside me making my products, I love experimenting with food.
What do you make?
Yeah.
What is
So
do you make like
yeah.
what kind of products do you make?
Okay, it's a smart. It's kuli, but on a
Oh,
different level.
like kuli kuli.
Yeah, like on a different level.
Wow. Wow.
Like
So do you like
bakery promos. Yeah.
oh oh wow. Wow. Okay. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so the last question, I really wish this wasn't goodbye. Let's go a little bit poetic. If poetry is a rainbow and you have a choice of one color in that palette, what would that be and why?
Okay, to answer this question, I think I want to really understand your question. So, do you mean like if poetry was a rainbow, what does poetry? I know maybe Eden, because Eden is a writer. Maybe she's probably the one who wrote that. So, Eden, please can you explain what rainbow to me?
I think the question is very straightforward. It's just that we just went corner, corner, corner. The question is simply saying, what's your favorite color of the rainbow?
I think now I understand that. Okay. Oh, and the color has to be a color there, like one of the colors of the rainbow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the color that I really like is not part of the rainbow, it's actually black. Um, so if I'm going to choose a color in the rainbow, I would say, okay, so I'm going to choose a color. I'll say I like blue. So usually, if the color was not part of the rainbow colors of the rainbow, I'll choose black because I feel
Okay, I
like
think you can tell us about black then. You could just feel
okay,
free because the question in itself is poetic. So the rainbow may not even necessarily be the rainbow. So please go on with it. Yeah.
okay, I like black because when people think about black, what the fact that sometimes it connotes like a lot of negative people say, oh black negative black night eating things like that, but I think that black is beautiful because I feel like black represents the beginning of creation, the beginning of creating anything. When you close your eyes and you see black, but then you're still able to imagine things. So you almost feel like you have this black canvas and then everything starts to come out of it. So for me, black is that color that just represents, the beginning of ideas. And that's is very similar to Geneza brands, because I run Geneza School of Design. Now the word Geneza itself means Genesis, like the beginning of many things, the beginning of ideas, the starting of ideas. And most times it starts from something that looks black, empty. And then so I'm inspired by the whole idea of creation, the fact that something looks empty, black, void, and then something beautiful is able to come out of that. So that's why I like color. 'Cause most times I'm wearing black, or because it's been like people don't understand how black works. Sometimes they say different things about, oh, black is negative, but I don't think black is always negative. Sometimes black could represent the beginning of something beautiful. So yeah.